Reviewing Ashley Syd. She submitted this record back in time. We're gonna go ahead and check it out. If you haven't submitted a record yet, go ahead and shoot me a DM. If we're not following each other, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'll get you added to the list. We're gonna take a listen to this song. I'm gonna hear things that I think could be added in the future to future songs that are like this in their style, as well as give some marketing ideas. Off the bat, I would say probably like chop in some of your vocal samples and then go ahead and put them in. Because at this point you came in and it's about 30 seconds in. I do love the vocals though. That reverb, super nice. So just right there alone, I would say we're 50 seconds into the song and there hasn't been much happening. It didn't really sound like there was any stacks in it. I really like how the reverb sounds on your vocals. I feel like that just has like a really nice like marriage between your vocal and that reverb that's on this like the rim shot, the snare hit. I would say if you were going for the vibe of not having too much in the vocal space, then you would want to emphasis a little bit more on that reverb and that emotion space that's going to come out of it. So maybe just throwing in something simple like a delay on every eighth bar, whatever the last word is that you're saying, just throw a delay on it and kind of open that space up. And then immediately when your vocal comes in, just duck it right away. That way, two, it's operating kind of like how your vocal or that snare's operating. It has just kind of that emotional delay on it. So if you're not going with any just kind of like accents, ad-libs or doubles or anything like that, again, we're like 50 seconds in. I would, from me, if we were in the session, I would have probably threw a delay on just on that 8 bar to kind of give it some more emotion and play just ear candy, right? We're playing with the ear candy, getting people to stay interested in the song. So I like that little, I don't know if you made the beat or if you got the beat from someone, but I do like that little, it was a launch, but it, instead of building it up, it more or less dropped the production. I do really like how that sounded with your vocal. It would have been really cool if we were in the session together. I would have probably threw some sort of just like bit effect or something like that, or some sort of super heavy distortion, but just something to kind of like dissolve your vocal as that was happening. Because kind of what's happening in that moment as you're hearing it is the beat's doing something, your vocal's riding on top, but your vocal comes in the same way, the same time. So usually in those moments, those are really quick ways just to do ear candy. So if the beat's doing something, it would be cool to kind of do something with your vocal and at least pan your vocal. Super subtle, right? Because you want both of them to be in harmony, but maybe just like pan whatever would have happened to either side. But at least right there, it's just something more happening to your vocal. Because again, we're now 1:15 in and there's not much happening to the vocal, which I do like at this point because it's letting me pay attention a little bit more of the lyrics. But you still want a little bit of ear candy. I like that. It sounds like there's a stack going on. So right here, we're about 2 minutes into the record, and there's not that much happening to the beat. We have different, like percussion instruments coming in, and that's totally fine. But as far as the actual beat structure goes, there's not much more happening to it. I do think that as the hook came in, there could have been a little bit more change up in the drums to kind of accent and reflect what you're doing now. Just it's just again I think the big thing on here is just it's lacking a little bit of ear candy, which isn't an issue. But again, that ear candy is just kind of what keeps people sitting in the song. The record's a 4.5, almost a 4:40 in time length record. We're a little under halfway through, but there's not that much ear candy going on. I like this part right here, as it's just like kind of that filter effect going in. Super nice. This is the first time 3 minutes into the record where there's something a little bit more on that ear candy side that pops in, which isn't a bad thing because something I do like is that there's been a progression of the record building more and more, which is super cool. I just think that there could have been a little bit more going on. You don't want to do too much, but just a little bit more. It's such a well-written song vocally. I like how the reverb is hitting with the vocal and stuff like that. The voice is really pretty. And so it's just those little things that I think can be adjusted, added on, or even, just kind of ideas explored to just emphasize you as the artist. Because right now it's just kind of you and the beat. And I feel like adding a little bit more things kind of makes it the both of you put together. In the studio, I would have probably brought in a little bit more of instruments. Probably brought someone in to play the guitar. Maybe get some bass lines in there. Maybe some live keys as you go into this piece. But again, it's just kind of those little extra details that, really take a record from a vocal and a beat to just kind of a full put together project. All in all, I think for the most part, just a little bit of ear candy to kind of just make the record do a little bit more. I think as far as the mixing goes, me personally, there would have been a little bit things I would have tweaked a little bit. I would have give you a little bit more mid-range, maybe eliminated some of the nasalness inside the vocal. But as far as the mix goes, not that much wrong with it. I think it just needs a little bit more of the creative side added into there for that ear candy. When it comes to marketing for this record, I feel like this is where a lot of people are going to kill me. So one, when it comes to the cover art, I would have probably did something a little bit more simplistic to it. In today's world, everything's digital, right? So as people are listening to your music and hearing your music, they can feel it now more as a piece of artwork. So in, just off the first initial view of everything, I would have probably, left the name off and the name of the song. Simply because on Spotify, Apple Music, all that kind of stuff, it's already right there, right? And if people are going and looking for your music, then they already know who you are. And if people find you in discovery, they already see who you are. And so in this case, I don't feel like the song title and the name are, really just doing much for the cover art. I've said it before on the page that for speaking of me personally, if I can't get past the cover art, and I'm not saying it in this situation, but yeah, because there's examples on some really bad ones, and I don't think this one's bad. It's just my suggestion. If I can't get past the cover art, it's hard for me to even get to the song because I kind of just initially judged the amount of attention to detail, before I even get to the record. So it sets an expectation for me. Again, this one, I don't think there's much, much wrong with it. Those are just kind of my suggestions. Unless there's a really stylistic way, maybe if you just wrote it all, printed this out and you signed it yourself and then scanned it back in and just did some effects to it to kind of put that all together. But in today's world, as we can see, it's all your name's the biggest thing on here. So there's not really much reason to put that anymore. So that's just pure the presentation part, right? When it comes to the marketing, I didn't dive into your socials to see much of what was right there, but and this is all just fresh off the mind. As far as it goes for marketing, I would have probably put in, if on the day of doing the shoot, even if this was just you, I would have probably just, if you're using an iPhone and it's a newer one, just threw it in 4K. Looks like it was a beautiful day, so the natural light's going to be super beautiful. Just the clothing, everything you're wearing looks really great. Scenery looks great. So I would have just probably put the camera in 4K, use the back cameras, and then just sung along to the record. Just held that pose, stayed in that same position, sung along, and then I would have put my lyrics on it. So as the song's playing, you would see it, and chop it up to the part that you like the most, and put it on your socials, blast that thing nonstop on TikTok. It's, aesthetically, I say it all the time, people travel with their eyes. And so if you're in a beautiful scenery, then that's the first thing you catch, somebody's going to catch on social media, make them stop. And then from there, as they're going to start reading, if they don't have their audio all the way up, so you're just hitting them with layers. The more layers you can hit them with, it's like peeling back an onion. The more layers you could just hit them with until finally they get to the root of it. So that would just be one thing. So on the day of taking the photo, you could have got the visualizer for it as well. Moving into it, I would start looking as far as marketing on TikTok goes. And that's going to be the case for a lot of these things. That platform is way too organic. When it comes to marketing, I would just go ham on visualizers. Keep this aesthetic you're going with, and aesthetic, not necessarily the color, but just the aesthetic. If you're going for this, like satin dress, like this whole vibe you're going with, keep this aesthetic in all the things you're doing. If you like cooking, go ahead and keep this aesthetic. Just sing and let people tell you have a beautiful voice. When they respond to that, post that green screen of your Spotify behind you on your response to it and say, thank you so much. I appreciate that. If you would love to hear more of my personal music or my music in general, here's my Spotify. You never know. That could be the video that takes off, or, maybe 100 people see it out of 110 people clicking and actually want to hear more. And if not 10, then at least that one person probably will, because it takes a lot for someone to compliment someone on the internet. And if they took the time to do that and they see that you were appreciative about it, made a whole video in response to it, you got one new fan. So you have 7 monthly listeners that could quickly turn to 8. We see it all the time on the platform. It's just that, raw, authentic, kind of like talent, or not even talent, but just creativity, right? That's on the platform that seems to do really well for people, at least in the creative sphere. So those are kind of my suggestions. I don't expect you to take the record down, but moving forward, just, you have a really pretty voice. I listened to 2003. It's another good record. I would just add in a little bit more ear candy. You don't even need the stems for the beat if you don't have it. You could just chop that up and do some stuff to it too. But just more ear candy to emphasize who you are as an artist. And two, for marketing, just slam videos. Get people to pay attention to those lyrics. So make sure you got captions on them, but make sure people hear and can read the lyrics because that sounds like what you're going for. So you want to keep it all in brand. If you're not going to do too much to a vocal, make sure people are focusing on the lyrics. Because if that's what you want in the song, then make sure in all of your content that you're pushing out for marketing, people are focusing on the lyrics.